It's Jason from drpremed.com. I want to talk to you guys about not just being pre-med, not about the struggle of trying to do well in the MCAT, doing well in your pre-med courses, your labs, trying to do extracurricular activities. You guys are pretty much aware of all the hurdles and hoops and obstacles that you need to overcome on your journey to getting into medical school. But what about what waits you on the other side? Why are you working so hard? Why are you putting all of this effort into it? What's it actually like to be a medical student? I want to give you guys a little bit of an insight on that. I'm not going to talk about the first 2 years of medical school. I'm going to talk about the clinical side. When you get out of the classroom, you're actually in the hospital, you're in the clinic, and you're actually seeing patients, treating patients, and all of that good stuff. And so here's one of the things I do. I say, hello, I'm student Dr. Spears. I'm one of the fourth year medical students. I'm working with so-and-so, attending physician. And then I just get right into the interview of the patient, taking their history and physical depending on where we're at, or trying to do a procedure depending if it's a surgical rotation or not. And that's kind of what happens. But how do you actually get there, and what does that mean for you as a pre-med? You guys want to know what's at the other side of the table. And one of the things as a medical student is you have a lot of freedom, and you really don't have too much oversight or somebody bearing down looking over your shoulder on every single thing you do. Obviously the attendings make sure that everything's done correctly, but here's what happened. I told you, like, I introduced myself to the patient. The attending physician isn't around. They're usually in another room. They're doing their charting, or they're with another patient, they're talking to their staff or whatever, and they trust that in your 2 or 3 years of training already, until you reach them, that you've already know how to do a history, you already know how to do a physical, so you're going to do it on your own. And so you do your history and your physical, record your findings. It's called a SOAP note, when you have your subjective area, your objective area, which is more the physical exam, vitals, and everything like that, and then your assessment and plan. And after that, you meet with the patient. I conclude asking the patient, do you have any more questions for me? Okay, I'm going to step out the room now. I'm going to go consult with my attending, and then they'll be back in the room with us, and they'll probably ask you a series of questions, do a physical exam, then we'll figure our next steps for you. I do that as I leave the door or leave the room, and then I go and speak with my attending, go over my findings, my observations, and make basically a brief summary report on the patient so the physician knows what's going on. Then they go in the room and they just have their normal interaction. And one of the things that happens as a med student that we always hate is we'll ask patients any questions about any complaints, any medications, or anything like that. And the worst is when the patient then tells the attending doctor something else that they didn't tell us, and we're just like, no. We kind of like do one of those head sinks, because we're like, they didn't tell us that, but they tell their attending doctor that or whatever. But a lot of the doctors understand and know that even sometimes when physicians are interviewing patients themselves, they even see that taking place as well, where patients will change their story, or at the last minute, oh doc, I want to bring this up to you as well, and things like that. But it's kind of like great to be a medical student and to really be in there in the hospital. You have your short white coat, the stethoscope. People recognize you as a medical student. Sometimes the staff will even refer to you as like the student doctor, even just like Dr. So-and-so and things like that in front of the patient. So you have that little respect there, but you know that you're not a full-fledged physician yet, but it just shows that you're making strides, moving forward, getting where you need to be in life. And right now I'm doing family medicine in the hospital, and hours are not crazy at all, because most family medicine doctors, like I say, it's kind of like baker's hours, like 9 to 5, somewhere like that, or we have our longer, earlier days that can go up to, I think, like 6:45, 7 o'clock for that. But that's like in clinics, seeing outpatient patients and things like that. And so round on patients in the hospital, treat them, give medications. There's this computer program that you guys are really going to love when you get to medical school and into the hospitals called Epic. Basically, your life is going to revolve around that, where you got to do everything in there: history, physical, family history, medical history, allergies, surgical history, social history. Everything that you can think of goes into this computer system that keeps track of a patient's record. It's basically electronic medical record system that basically all the hospitals have and things like that. And so I want to just encourage you guys that wherever you're at to stay motivated, keep your eyes on the prize, and just know that if you continue to excel academically, continue to do what you need to do as a pre-med, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to be wearing scrubs, you're going to have a stethoscope, you're going to have a white coat, people are going to refer to you as doctor. The physicians actually in a hospital are going to let you make decisions on what you want to do with the patient, and oftentimes they won't get too involved in that unless you're doing something that's outside the scope of care, or they want to use it as a teaching moment. Otherwise, you're going to be running the show and getting ready to be a doctor and everything that comes with that. So that's just something that you really want to keep in mind while you're going through the process. And I can tell you that although the hours are a lot and strenuous in medical school, being a medical student, and there's so much that you need to learn, remember, retain, and sometimes you even get pimped by the doctors, I would not change it for the world. I absolutely love what I do, and I can't wait to graduate, become a full-fledged physician and everything that goes along with that, and really just make a difference in the lives of my future patients. And one thing that you guys probably have as a pre-med student, you're like, when am I ever going to see this? When am I going to use this? And as a medical student, that all changes. I can basically guarantee everything that you learn in medical school, for the most part, you're going to use. I've had to recall information that I learned like the first year of med school. Like, oh, let me see, I kind of vaguely remember this, but you just got to jump in because that could be the patient's chief complaint, and you're just trying to run through your differentials to see what most likely this patient has, and that one chapter or paragraph or PowerPoint slide is a patient's whole presentation, and you're just trying to recall as much information as possible. And sometimes if it's a complex case, even your attendings try to dig through to recall what it is, the resident's trying to recall what it is, the med student, some people are going to hop on, some people are going to hop on the internet, use UpToDate or another medical I'm trying to think of the word, medical resource to figure out what we can do for a patient when it's stuff that's outside the normal scope of practice or what we see. But overall, that's kind of, I want to give you guys a glimpse into medical school and seeing what awaits for you, because too often everybody's just telling you about you need top grades, you need a top MCAT score, you need a volunteer, you need extracurricular activities, you need a personal statement, but no one's really giving you the insight of what to expect actually once you're in medical school, once you're a medical student, and showing you like this is what you're working for, this is what you're working towards to be that doctor. I know a lot of pre-meds do their shadowing with physicians. They're like, I want to be like Dr. Jones, I want to be like Dr. Smith. They're so empathetic, they spend so much time with the patient, they answer all the questions, but you kind of want to move beyond that. And once you gain that knowledge as a medical student, you're able to actually see, oh, this is why Dr. Jones asked that question, this is why Dr. Smith was focused on that and really wasn't too concerned about these other things that the patient mate had mentioned or brought up, because it wasn't very important from a medical standpoint to that patient. But I also think you need to be empathetic and also have like a personality and be a people person as well, because at the end of the day, patients are people too, and they want care and service and want to feel that their physician was invested in the care, wasn't in and out the door, and everything like that goes along with it. So this is Jason with drpremed.com, giving you guys some insight into life as a medical student, what's on the other side of getting your medical school acceptance, why you're working so hard for that MCAT score, GPA, and getting those letters of recommendation and doing everything possible to get medical school interviews and ultimately be accepted to medical school so that you can go on and be a medical student, treat patients, be basically called student doctor, student physician, and really be at the forefront of your patient's care and being part of the care team that's doing a lot of great work for patients where they're really dependent on you, and you have a lot of autonomy from the doctors and the staff because they trust you, that you have this training, you have this background, and the only way you're really going to know is if you just jump in and get it involved and start doing things, see patients on your own, make presentations to your attending, go from there. And if you have more questions, you want to learn more about it, and you just want to get yourself in a better position where one day you're going to be able to do some of the things I shared with you in this video, make sure that you visit drpremed.com because there's so much information on that website that I have for you to help you get into medical school. I just want you to see a little bit of the other side of what goes on as a pre-med student who's making their way from pre-med to getting into medical school on their way to becoming a doctor, so that you guys see everything that's involved with that. Again, Jason with drpremed.com.